Okay, good evening, everyone. I am Vaya Ko, one of the CCD committee members. For those who are not familiar with CCD, CCD stands for Continuing Catholic Development. It's a ministry of the Santuario de San Antonio Parish that offers Catholic religion classes for children ages 5 to 13. We hold our classes once a week during the school year, and the student has a choice of attending either the Wednesday afternoon or the Sunday morning class. So tonight, CCD is hosting this session of a series of talks organized by the parish. We are very privileged to have our guest speakers, Edmond and Leigh Tobias. Edmond and Leigh have been happily married for 17 years and have 7 energetic children. They started out as classmates and turned into college sweethearts at the University of Asia and the Pacific. They both graduated from there with a degree in business administration in 1998. Edmond is currently the general manager of Pet One Inc., a manufacturer of one of the leading dog food brands in the country. Edmond has worked in various industries and companies like Global Bank, San Miguel Corporation, Magnolia, and GlaxoSmithKline. Edmond is very fond of dogs, hence his job at a dog food company. He loves to play basketball, swim, ride, and run. He enjoys spending time with his sons playing NBA 2K on the PlayStation, as well as real basketball on the court. He is also a proud homeschool teacher to their son, Joaquin. Leigh is currently the marketing director of Paref Schools. Apart from her degree at the UANP, she finished her MBA at the Ateneo Graduate School in 2003. She has been a marketing practitioner for over 20 years and has worked in various industries and companies as well, such as Asian Bank, General Milling Corporation, Fonterra, UANP, Sun Cellular, and Smart Communications. Leigh loves to bake and cook during her free time. She has loved caring for children from a very young age, and so is thoroughly enjoying raising their 7 children. She loves to swim, walk around the village with Edmond, play volleyball, and needless to say, spend time with the kids. So without further ado, let's all please welcome Edmond and Leigh Tobias.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Nice to see everyone here. Thank you very much, Vaya, for that kind introduction about me and Edmond. So we're very happy and we're very honored to be invited here in Santuario de San Antonio's activity under CCD. And we're very excited to be with all of you here tonight. We see here some familiar faces. Thank you for coming. I think my mother-in-law invited some of you here, and we're happy to see you. Okay, so just to test our chat feature, no, and just to break the ice a bit, can you just type in how many kids you have? Very quickly, 2, 3, 5, 10, 12. We just like to see in the chat box. Go ahead, don't be shy. 2, all right, I'm counting 2 from Ingrid, 3, 1 from Noreen, Nico, Rose has 5, good. JP has 2.
Let's see if someone can tie us.
Okay, can someone beat us with 8? Let's see. Soon. I think that's from Edmond's brother. All right, the others? 2, okay. Go ahead. You can even put there.
Oh,
7
7
2. Yes, of course. Vaya has 7 beautiful children too. Jeff has 2.
Hi, Jeff.
And what about the others? Okay, last 5 seconds for you to input how many kids you have. For those who have grandkids, you can also input that. All right. Anyone else would like to share the number of kids that they have? All right, I think that's about it. Okay, thank you very much for, 5 grandsons from, Tita Ming Siap. Hello, one grandson from Dottie. All right, grandkids. Okay, so thank you very much. We tried the chat feature of our Zoom. If ever you do have questions later on, feel free to type them up in the chat box. We will have our Q&A afterwards, right, Vaya? Yeah, or you may also, of course, ask them yourself later. You just do the raise hand feature in Zoom, and then you can unmute yourself. All right, so I just like to share my screen. Okay. Can I see a thumbs up if you see our screen? Yes? Yes? All right. Okay, thank you. It's okay if you turn on your camera so we can also see you. But if you don't want to, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. So once again, thank you for letting us be here. We're very honored to be here. And just a quick review, right? What is happening these days? What is happening in the country? What is happening in the world? We're all familiar with the pandemic, right? There's COVID, this nasty virus has been going around. People can't go out. People are wearing masks and face sheets all over. Houses are on lockdowns. Families are staying home. Moms and dads are working from home, right? I think one of the things that I was wishing for pre-pandemic, since we have 7 kids, is that I hope someday that I can work from home and then be paid, every 15th and 30th of the month and still have the time with my kids. And now I have it. But sometimes it can just get to you, right? You're working and then your kids are on their online classes. I'm sure a lot of you are also, feeling this way and you don't know which one to prioritize. Now there's no more like delineation between working and being a mom or being a wife, right? And then of course the kids are on their online classes. Some of them are probably homeschooled by you. And then a lot of them are on their gadgets, on their screens throughout the day. And so many other things that are happening these days that are beyond our control. But of course, there's always hope. There's always that joy, which we will talk to you later on more. And yeah, but why are we here? Why are you here? Why are the parents here, grandparents? Why are the parishioners of Sanctuary de San Antonio here? And why are we here? What is it that we want to find out? What is it that we want to know more about? What we want to learn? In fact, we too would want to learn from you guys, because being moderators and facilitators of Edu Child, which Vaya mentioned earlier in our introduction, we always learn something new whenever we give talks. Each time that we facilitate groups, and each time we give plenary discussions, we always learn something new. So I hope that we can share a little bit of experience and knowledge. We did a bit of research for this talk because this is the first time we've been assigned this keeping your kids Catholic, right? And we were born and raised as Catholic, so it's something that comes natural to us to also tell other people. But when we were discussing it, we were thinking we have to, aside from our own experiences, we also have to check what are the other families doing, what are the families, or even like in other countries, what are the things that they do to keep their children Catholic and faithfully Catholic. So hopefully that with this talk, a little bit of some application will be given to you that you can live in your ordinary everyday life. Okay, so this is the topic assigned to us: keeping your kids Catholic. In this talk, we just want to focus really on 3 key points, right? So the first one is, why do we have to keep our children Catholic? Second key point is, what are the challenges that we face in keeping them Catholic, keeping them faithfully Catholic? And the third point is, how do we keep them Catholic? So these 3 points will be what we will be zooming in or focusing on throughout this talk. And if you have questions, again, feel free to type them in. Let me just check the chat box if there's. Oh, okay. Someone's saying hello to you.
Hello.
Yo, Edmond. Can't turn on camera, no webcam. Sorry. Okay, no problem. All right. So we go first to our first key point. Okay. So why do we have to keep them Catholic, right? I'm sure all of us here are Catholics, but I'm not sure. Sorry. I guess most of us here are Catholics. The fact that we are attending this talk and we would like to listen and learn a bit. But why do we have to keep our children Catholic? Primarily because we are Catholics ourselves, right? Maybe all of us or most of us were born and raised as Catholics, and we want to live our faith to the fullest. I'm sure some of you have heard of cafeteria Catholics. They just pick whichever is convenient. Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
We
hear about that.
We hear about that amongst other whether in other countries or other families or in the society, that they just take what is convenient, what is good. But essentially, being a Catholic, and the word Catholic really means universal. It's being universal. It's open to all. We're not excluding anyone. That's why when we listen to Pope Francis, right, his message is always about mercy and about the peripheries, about the poor. If you remember when he was here in World Youth Day back in, I think it was 2014 or early 2015, yeah, thereabouts, he was really talking about how the Philippines really has this rich faith that we can share with so much. In fact, they call us the vanguard of Asia, meaning the Spaniards came here, yeah, and we're celebrating the 500th year of our Christianity this year, right? 1521 to 2021. And it's really something that we can pass on to our children. And of course, when we pass it on, we want them also to be good children of God, later on to be, successful, morally upright individuals who can also raise their own families later on. So those are, I think, the two things or two important points for this first question. And why do we have to keep them Catholic? If we want to live our faith well, and we want to pass them on to our children, because we also want them to live good Christian lives, to be good Christians. Okay.
All right. The challenges we face nowadays, what are the challenges that during this pandemic nowadays? They're hooked on their gadgets. I'm sure, well, with our kids, we see them most of the time on their phones, and it's sometimes not a nice sight, especially at night. You don't know, maybe there was no intention to look at pornographic materials, but there was someone who sent them a link or that would lead them to that. You don't know how, even if you tell them it's not something that's proper to look at, but you don't know how they will react, which is scary. Then this one, Lee put this, that wants outweigh the needs. Now, this came from one of our children, no? Sometimes you want something that, it's something that you don't really need, but you want to get it since maybe they're stuck at home. They'd like to give themselves, something,
to motivate them,
or just to make them happy, or an extra pair of shoes. Where are you going? We're on lockdown or something. Maybe the middle picture is not something as bothersome right now because they're not going out, but this is something that's worrisome when when things go back to normal. The other thing here, the PlayStation. Actually, now I see them playing more of the mobile games. I'm guilty of playing the PlayStation with them, but I noticed lately the bigger ones don't play the PlayStation with me. Rather play the mobile games. I hear them saying COD. I'm not familiar with Call of Duty. I'm not really into that. But sometimes it takes so much of their time that sometimes Lee and I text them and they don't reply because they cannot get interrupted. So again, these are things that are occupying so much of their time. And of course, I think the biggest problem here is their mental health, especially those kids who maybe have no siblings to play with or are used to, being out of the house, and suddenly you're stuck. You're just looking out the window or wondering what could have been if there was no pandemic. Oh, here, sorry, I jumped the gun on one. The girl here looking out the window because she's very lonely, thinking of, I could have been at the mall or watching a movie with my friends. And this one I can relate to because this is a mom homeschooling a kid, but the distraction sometimes, or there's a lack of focus for some kids, especially those kids who are into videos. So this is something that I think we will talk about later. And then I think this is a scene from the show Modern Family. I'd like to say I'm not like that, but I think my wife was able to control me here because sometimes it's a work email or a work text from a colleague that you have
work
to.
Lang ba? Sometimes Facebook.
Oh yeah, sometimes Facebook, but sometimes you're answering, the Facebook page of your. I'm not trying to defend myself here, but the business, of the. So, but there should, again, we'll talk about this more. These are challenges that I think we face. And there's also sometimes because of all the distractions that they have, there's sometimes they forget to pray.
They don't feel like
They don't,
praying.
so this is something, again, we will discuss also on how we can help them go beyond these issues that they're facing in this pandemic.
All right. So among those challenges that Edmond mentioned, loneliness, being distracted, not wanting to pray, or not feeling like wanting to pray, and then meal times. I mean, meal times are supposed to be happy times together, right? But you see, everyone just has a gadget. They're not talking, they're not communicating. A phone is supposed to communicate with another person, but the person you're supposed to communicate to is just right in front of you, right beside you. So these are very real things. These are not just things that we see in movies or on TV shows, but these are actually happening in families, these days. So knowing why we have to keep them Catholic, and then the second point on what are the challenges that are keeping them from being Catholic or keeping them from being faithful to the religion that we are trying to live with them. Now we move on to the how. Okay, and in this third point, so Edmund and I were discussing it over the past days, and when we were preparing for this, we were saying it's quite effective sometimes when you give an acronym to the people you're talking to. So it's easier to remember. There's recall, whether it's a 3-letter word. Oh, sorry.
We still have
one more challenge. I'm sorry.
Sorry. This is some we learned from
this is interesting.
Yeah,
you guys look at it.
Yeah, we got this from one of Lee's friends, which actually scared us a lot. No, I wasn't so familiar with it. The first one is GNOC, get naked on camera. And then there's PIR, parent in room. Then 99, parent gone. MIRL, I don't really know how they even got into this. Let's meet in real life. TDPM, talk dirty to me. KPC, keeping parents clueless. And WTTP is want to trade pictures. NSFW, not safe for work. So these are things that are going around that I just learned about this 2 weeks ago, I think. And I don't know a single one.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't know. So these are things that our kids may be doing, no? Hopefully not. But it's good to be aware of these things that are going on.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. You still had another slide. I was excited already to talk about the third point. But anyway, so yeah, these internet acronyms, they're quite shocking actually. When the first time I read them, like get naked on camera. I mean, that's scary. Being a mom and trying to, keep your kids Catholic and trying to making sure that, they pray and that they only do good things and they behave and you teach them all these values. And then you see this, for example, on their phones or in their chat boxes. They don't use Viber. Viber is for older people. Messenger or Discord, or some of them are on Telegram. It would really, make you scared and freak you out. But again, there's always hope. And that's why we're here to somewhat try to allay those fears that you're having, or some worries that you've been, having in your mind for the past days or weeks or even months. And I'd like to also pinpoint the mental health issue. There have been a lot of talks, webinars, discussions about mental health. And I think it's a really pressing issue these days, because if we don't intervene at the right moment, it can really get worse. And with all of these goings on in the world, in the family and the society, it can really get out of control. So knowing the challenges and why we have to keep them Catholic, now we want to move on to the how. So as I was saying earlier, that we wanted to have an acronym. Okay, coming from these internet acronyms that we just showed you, we wanted to think of something that's very practical, very easy to remember, also, relatable, something that's relevant also these days. So we said, if you want to keep them Catholic, then you have to practice what you preach. Oh, by the way, why are we wearing pink and blue? Because we're from EduChal, not for any political reason, okay? But if some of you would want to think that, that's okay. But it's really because pink and blue are the colors of EduChal. And I think this is also the color of your company, right?
Yeah.
Of Pet One.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
plugging na rin yan for Pet One.
Wasn't my intention, though.
Is your boss here?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right. But yeah. So it's really because of EduChal, which we will also talk a little bit later on. Okay, so going back, practice what you preach. What does practice mean? We all know this, right? Another term for this, walk the talk, or do as you tell them to do what you do, but not do as you say, right? Okay, so practice what you preach. We will read to you the word practice, the acronym practice, and then we will discuss it one by one later on with examples also and suggestions. Okay, so practice what you teach. P is for pray with them and pray for them. R is read age appropriate, good literature. A is authoritative parenting, setting clear expectations and rules, but with warmth, affection, and support. In fact, in EduChild, this is a whole new module or topic altogether. But here we will just touch on it a bit. C is for Catholic lens, looking through things with a supernatural outlook.
And T is talk to them. Of course, let them express how their own ideas without controlling them. We'll discuss that more later. I will discuss that more later. And the next one is I, instill virtues. The importance of wholesome entertainment. I'm sure you're very aware of what's around. S is for sacraments, as part of being Catholic, not as religious graduation. And E, for example, they have to see you practice and live your faith, not just as Lee said, not just by saying it, but doing it. Be role models to them.
Okay, so the acronym practice is practice what you preach. So now we go with through each one of them. So P is pray with them and for them. Okay, so as Catholics ourselves, it's good to start them young, right? Because as young children, they can easily be molded, they can easily be formed, they easily remember things. So even as early as 1 or 2, as Vaya mentioned earlier, we have 7 children, right? We have 5 boys, we have a basketball team, and we have 2 girls. So it's the 3rd and the 7th that are the girls. Okay, so why am I saying this? Because we have children from all the developmental stages. So we have from toddler to primary schooler, middle schooler, junior high school, senior high school. So our eldest he just turned 17. And you really see the differences. I mean, each child is different. They have their own characteristics. But what I think we're happy about is because we were raised or we were formed early on, meaning Edmond's parents formed him early on and teaching him how to pray, same as mine. And when you start them young, you see also the fruits of it. Okay, so just to give you an example of this prayer that my mom taught me when I was a little girl, we call it the Jesus prayer, which I have taught to all my 7 children, in which all of them, in fact, earlier during dinner, Edmond was asking them, do you still pray this? And they all said yes. So I was so happy naman na, buti naman. They still remember the prayer that their mama Lola taught their mom and I taught them. And being a preschool religion teacher also, I taught this to all of my preschool students in kinder and pre-kinder. And it's nice when you hear children pray. Okay, so I will just, let's listen. It's just a short prayer. So this is said by our 5th child, Kayo.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, Jesus, come to me and make a sweet good child of me. So small my heart, it longs for thee. Come, live in it, it loves but thee. Amen.
Okay. Actually, our night prayers is quite long. That's why he was about to say Angel of God. But I told him, just do the first prayer, which is because after the Angel of God, there's bless dad, bless mom, and all of us in the family, and some other intentions. So,
in fact, the funny thing about that is when they pray that, they also want me to participate, but usually I'm already lying down. They tell me, Dad, sit down. Oh, okay. Yeah, even if I'm tired, I have to sit sometimes with them because they know that everyone has to pray.
yeah.
So it's a habit. It's a habit.
So yes, that's right. So it forms good habits in them. So as you start them young, they will bring this up. And initially, of course, they don't understand what the words they're saying, what the words that they're uttering. Because even my 2-year-old, Sasha, so we would teach her this. She doesn't memorize yet the entire prayer, but when we do fill in the blanks, like Jesus, Jesus, come to, and then she puts me, and make a sweet good child of me, puro me. So small my, and then she puts heart. It's so cute when you listen to her, and then she knows how to make the sign of the cross in a weird gesture. But eventually, once they get the hang of it, and then as they grow older, you explain to them because they will not appreciate the rosary, which is a long prayer, if they don't understand the Hail Mary. They will not appreciate a pilgrimage, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with, that praying all the 15 mysteries or all the 20 mysteries of the rosary, if they don't appreciate the little mysteries or the decades first of the rosary. So it's inch by inch, bit by bit. But if you start them, let's say, at 20 years old, ay mahihirapan na kayo because they've already been formed, they've already been trained to live a specific way. But of course, there's still exceptions. But what we're trying to stress here lang is that you start them young and then you explain to them. So sometimes also just to share, let's say I'm praying, I'm doing my mental prayer, and the children see me. So they ask me, what are you doing, mom? Or sometimes they bug me, ask me, mom, help me here, help me there. But then if I tell them, I'm praying to Jesus, and then they see I have a crucifix, and then the little one goes, she goes, Jesus, Jesus. Then she grabs my crucifix and she goes, my Jesus. And then like I tell her, yes, you're Jesus, but also mom is Jesus because I'm talking to Jesus. So that's your teachable moment when you are praying, let's say the rosary as a couple, for example, or you're praying as simple as blessing before meals. This one, we put it here. These are simple, very short prayers that you can teach them at a young age, and then they will get the habit that, and then you tell them na, we pray before meals because we tell her to bless her food. It's not just we just eat like pagans. In fact, one of my kids would always tell me if I ask them, have you prayed pagans? Because if they forget to pray, they feel like, well, mommy tells them na, okay, we're like pagans because we don't know how to ask God to bless our food and thank our food, thank God for our food, diba? And then also to explain it to them, because something that's repetitive, let's say something that
Yung
we
mas?
pray one after another,
Wala
a lot of
naman.
Hail
Ay,
Mary.
ka naka-attend kanina, yung kay Cora?
I think someone is
Naka-attend, nakahabol. Umaga, 11 siya kanina.
admin.
Oo, last day, di ba?
Okay, let's look for that person. Okay, I have muted him. Okay. All right, so going back. So if you explain it to them, and eventually they will appreciate, for example, Hail Mary. So then you can tell them, for example, the scene of the Annunciation, right? When the angel Gabriel appeared to Mama Mary, rather than Hail Mary for the sake of the Lord with you. They don't really understand who's saying it. It's the angel telling Our Lady. And then for the others, for example, Holy Mary, Mother of God, why are you saying that Mary is the Mother of God? Then you explain because in Bethlehem, then you can tell them about the Christmas story and all of that. So it's really very rich. Some kids will find it a little bit boring in the beginning, but you will see the fruits later on. And once they have the habits in them, and later on, for example, bring them to university, they go abroad, they study abroad, but the habit is instilled with them, the praying habit. Because they will bring, even if they're with their friends, they know that they have to pray first, or before they go to sleep, they know that they have to pray. Okay, so that's praying with them, and of course also to pray for them a lot. I mean, you all know the story of Saint Monica, right? Praying for Saint Augustine for like 30, 40 years, and eventually from a gambler, womanizer, really a public sin alcoholic, to a bishop eventually of Hippo, and then a saint. So really, the prayers of moms are very effective. So that's the P for pray for them and pray with them. Okay. R is for read age-appropriate, good literature. Okay, this one sometimes can be a challenge for some parents because they don't know what books are good, what books are safe, where can they find, books that have been rated, have been reviewed, and with the guidance of parents. So just some tips. Common Sense Media, you can Google this up or just type commonsensemedia.org, and then here you have a variety, a very rich list of good books, even good movies, good shows for children, age appropriate, whether they're 10 to 12 or 15 to 18 or whatever age they are. And then they tell you there's sex, there's violence, there's bad language and all of that. And then another good source is Aletheia. So that one has also a lot of rich materials on what you can read. But you might say, ay, that's very Catholic naman. But yes, of course, we want to keep them Catholic, but in a natural way. Now, if you want something that's a little bit lighter, you know about Jason Everett, right? So you can get them the book on pure love, because purity, okay, this virtue is a little bit difficult to teach children. And in fact, some parents veer away from this, but you shouldn't. As parents, we were taught in every child and in Paris that the mom talk to the daughters and the dad talk to the sons, okay? Just to give you a personal example. Okay, so our eldest at the time, he was in the Blue School in Katipunan. He was in prep, okay? He was only 5?
No, almost 7. Almost 7.
Almost
Six,
7
six,
or
six,
6,
at
yeah.
least 6.
He was prep. There was
Almost
prep
7.
at that time. And then he comes to me. I think one of the brothers of Edmond is
He's
here.
here.
Anyway, and he goes to the Tito Blanc, are you having sex with Tita Blanc? And then, of course, my brother-in-law was so shocked for a 6-year-old to say that in front of him. And then I think there was another sibling, another sister of Edmond with them. And then he goes, so he asked, where did you learn this? How did you know about? Do you know what it is? So to him, sex is staying under the blanket. Okay, that's the definition of a 6-year-old about sex, on sex. And then so this brother of Edmond told him about it, told us, and said, and then you know where he learned it? In the school bus. Because at the time we made him ride the service, made him ride the school bus. There was this classmate. Of course, a lot of
an older
classmate,
busmate
who was telling him this. So anyway, but as parents, we have to provide them with a lot of options, with a lot of material. So like this one, I remember Jason Everett, we attended one of his talks, and he said, you just make them lie around your coffee table there instead of your other books. Put their pure love, pure manhood. There's even like how to find seeking your soulmate without losing your soul, something like that. So you provide them with materials, but very naturally, not forcing them. Another good book which you can also ask your children to read is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. If you have teenagers already, there's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for us, right? And 7 Habits, so many kinds of Stephen Covey. I think this one, I'm not sure. Sean Covey, maybe the son or the brother, but yeah, provide them with a lot of good material, age appropriate. Now, of course, they can still read the novels and read all of these, good books, good fiction stories, but always with your guidance. And if you're not sure, then you consult. You go to Common Sense Media and check it out. There's a lot of reviews there, and other parents also rating or reviewing these materials. And then, for the little ones, you can start with the Children's Bible, right? Children love stories, Bible stories. I teach religion in Paris Preschool Northern in Marikina. And whenever I have Bible stories as my topic in the class, they all get very excited to listen. So when they're still young, and I suppose some of you still have toddlers or children in primary school, you do provide them with these materials. Now, if they grow older and they look for these materials, then you can give them more mature, age appropriate materials. Let's still talk about not this, right? You don't give them right away the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Of course, it's very quite profound. It's very heavy for little children, but there are bits and pieces of like little catechism for little children. Okay, so that's the R. So P is pray with them, pray for them. R is read age appropriate good literature with them or for them. A, okay, so this one I mentioned earlier, authoritative parenting, is one of the topics or one of the cases that we discussed in NPEP, in EduChild. That's new parents education program that we have in Paris schools. So, but in a nutshell, okay, authoritative parenting is one of the 4 parenting styles. There's negligent, there's authoritarian, which is like dictatorial, then there's the permissive, and then this one is the ideal one, authoritative or deliberate. In a nutshell, it's really setting clear expectations or rules with your children, but with a lot of warmth, with a lot of affection and support. So what does that have to do with keeping them Catholic? Because when you set rules, house rules, family rules, and you explain it to them clearly without being preachy, without being like you're a priest or a bishop, being a know-it-all, and but these are the rules. You have to follow. This is what daddy says, this is what mommy says, and you have to follow. Basta. It can't be that way. You set the rules and you explain to them, okay, we wash our hands before eating because we don't want to get sick. We don't want to put dirty stuff in our mouth. As simple as that. Or you can say that during, pre-pandemic, you have to go home at a certain time because it's not safe anymore if you go home after a certain time, or we don't know who you're with. So you always have to explain the rules, but with a lot of warmth and affection also and support. So if you look at the picture here, authoritative, it says parenting qualities. So the parents are warm, or nurturing, or caring, high expectations, but you explain those expectations to your children, supportive and responsive. Now, the associated outcome of the authoritative parenting style is, as they say, higher academic performance, because you try to empathize with them, you try to understand them and guide them as they grow older. Higher self-esteem also, that's one of the effects, yeah, that's one of the outcomes. Balanced life approach, better understanding of life, because they get to learn it from you, you explain it to them, and then also, of course, healthy mental state. And I mentioned earlier about, a lot of mental issues or mental crises these days. So we really have to extend that extra support and warmth and care and affection towards our children. So if you want to learn more about this, you can attend an EduChild course, and I will give you the details later on. But really, parenting, right? Children don't come with manuals. That was the first, I think, poster or tagline of EduChild when we were starting back in 2005. But really, when you learn also from other parents, or you learn from, attending talks and webinars, that's how you become a better parent, because we are all with us, right? We are all work in progress as a parent.
Even if we've attended EduChild for quite a long time, we still learn from the people who just joined, because there are a lot of things that we can learn. We don't own all those things. So in fact, tonight we're also looking forward to learn from all of you.
Yeah, during our Q&A. Okay. Also, I'd like to add to this one last one for this particular point is part of your authoritative parenting is also asking who their friends are, who they hang out with, whether it's online only. Because later on, for example, they go to college or they go to outside and they meet other people. It's good for you to know, for your own peace of mind and peace of mind is that they're in a group of good friends. They're with good people, share the same values, share the same beliefs. So even if they go abroad, they go to another country for college, if you were able to talk to them about having, peers or friends who may have a good influence on them, then they will look for this because they understand the value of you taking time to talk to them about it and not just, and you don't explain yourself. So that's the A. So pray with them, pray for them. C, R is read age appropriate reading books for them, materials, and then A is authoritative parenting. And then the C, is Catholic lens. All right. Some of you are familiar with the term supernatural outlook. Okay, so looking through things with a supernatural outlook. So we have here an image of our classes with two processes. Right? But very simply, I have this image of a child who fell off a bike, and then the dad is there to help out. Okay, how can you translate that into supernatural outlook? Of course, at first the child says, "Oh, daddy, I fell. I hit my leg, or I hurt my knee, or I have this wound, I have this boo-boo." But then the dad can approach it in such a way that it's okay, my son. At least your guardian angel protected you from hitting your head or from bruising your arm. At least it's just this. We can just put, hydrogen peroxide or whatever, betadine, and then put a band-aid on it. And that supernatural outlook, they will understand that as you go on, as you explain to them that it's not the end of the world just because you fell off a bike and you have this wound. There are other things that you have to be thankful for. Like, for example, this pandemic, we're on lockdown, I can't go out, my friends are all out there, I can't have soirees, but it's more family time with your siblings. More family time with mom, with dad. There's things that you can learn at home. That vis-a-vis if you're always out with your friends, like you can learn a new language, you can learn, other things online, you can learn a new a hobby. So looking things with a supernatural outlook means that when things don't go well, when things don't go your way, and some kids would try to blame God because, why did I fail? Okay. Why did I fail this subject? I remember before I would tell this to my kids. Had I gone to UP, because at the time I passed UANC and I didn't get into UP. Had I gone to UP, I wouldn't have met your dad. So see, it's a blessing. It's looking at things with a supernatural. You guys wouldn't be here. So thank God I didn't pass UP and I got into UANC and met your dad. And ergo, you guys, 7 children. So anyway, so looking through with the Catholic lens, and that's how you train them as they grow older to keep having these Catholic lenses or this supernatural outlook, that there's always hope, there's always joy, and that they won't stop in a corner and just think that, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I don't know what to do. Okay, so moving now to Edmond. So now that
Yeah, T is talk to them. So let them freely express their own ideas without making religion relative. So this, I guess, compared to the other families here, I can only talk to the sixth pa naman. The seventh medyo, I just play around with her. You make it a point to try to be with them with the things that they like to do. My daughter, the third one, she likes to exercise. So I like to once in a while, but not as often, but to maybe walk with her, run with her, just to see what's in her head. You know, especially when I see there's something different. Because now that we have we have four teenagers. It's sometimes hard to get into their what's in their head, what's in their psyche. You know, so just an example, my eldest, about a month ago, he was kind of, he would talk to Lee, but to me, parang he was not as open or not as, so, but one time I was with him in the car alone, and I started asking him about his applications to college, and then he started talking, and then I started asking him, what are you writing? Is there anything that you need help from me outside of the payment, no? So he started talking, and then I noticed after that 30 minutes or an hour that we were in the car together, the next days he was talking to me more. So I kind of realized that maybe I should make more of an effort to reach out, no, because they're all different. They may be our kids, but they're very different then. So unlike my other son naman, I don't even have to make an effort. He'll just come to me and keep talking about his class, keep talking about his classmates, talking about this movie. So it's not about going to the easier child, no, but making an effort to get along with them. And it was shared via a while ago that it's the first time it's not just me, but I'm taking a lot of the subjects. We're homeschooling one of our kids, Joaquin. I'm seeing a lot of things about him that we didn't see. You know, he kind of struggled in the online classes. One of the pictures that Lee showed a while ago was he was very distracted, and I mentioned the COD games. We weren't aware of that app called Our Pact yet last year. So last year, you know, there were 6 of them going to school, and then although I was home working, and I was only going to the office a few days of the week. When you would look at their iPads or their laptops, they were on their games, especially this boy, you know. So, and true enough, his grades didn't really, you know, he cannot produce something that he cannot have because he wasn't really doing his homework, he wasn't listening in class. So we made a tough decision to homeschool him, and I think it's one of the best decisions we made. Yeah. It's really a struggle though a bit because. Of course, I have to work first. I have to make sure that I do my work. But at night, before I go, before and after dinner, I have to check all the lesson plans for the next few days. So there are things that he can do with me, and he can do asynchronously, you know. So, but I'm seeing a lot of things that the teachers were saying about him. He's having a hard time. Maybe he can't hack it, but actually. In the lesson, especially with American history, which I'm not so aware of because we didn't have that, he's very interested, and he knows how to trace back all the lessons, no? And I guess, well, number one thing, we took out the gadget. Of course, I had to take out my phone when I do spend time with him. He has to take out his phone, but I spend 30 minutes to an hour, maybe per subject. And then we do about 3 or 4 subjects a day, and I see a lot of good things, no? Of course. There's his distraction. He's still very distracted, but I keep asking him. In fact, Lee mentioned about her crucifix. One of the priests gave me a crucifix. I don't have it here though. It's in my table. He keeps seeing me kissing the crucifix, and then he asks me, "How come you keep kissing the crucifix, Dad?" Oh, that's when I ask Jesus for help. For what? You know, to keep you attentive. So when he sees me kissing the crucifix, I see him making an effort to, you know, stop looking around or looking at the Sasha. No? So these are things that you have to make an effort to be with them, to see them, and what may be bothering them. In fact, Silly has a special with With Rafa, sometimes I don't notice that he has a problem, but Lee notices it right away. And when she probes, maybe just a couple of minutes, she already gets what's troubling him. So I guess that's a gift of the mom.
Mother's instinct.
So those are things that you have to make an effort. No? So again, as she mentioned, when they get to the teenage years and in terms of purity, I take charge of the 5 boys, and she takes charge of at least si Sasha is still very young. All right, so that's T, talk to them. The next one is instill virtues. No, so here I'll go right away to that boy. No, what is that little boy doing? No, so he's packing away. No, so these are little things that maybe those families here who have a lot of, helpers. Si Yaya na lang mag-ayos or let them do it. You have to try to instill these things early, because if you don't, when they're older, you'll see their rooms and you'll blame yourself for not helping out. No, and even we see it now. No, in homes since there's online schooling, the 2 or 3 of them are kind of messy, and then I hear you didn't fix you didn't put a fan, you didn't. So you know who among them I guess needed more packing away activities when they were young. But again, we can still catch them. And again, one of the we'll go to later, setting an example. Of course, you cannot say that you pack away, then they see your night table being messy or your bag or your car being messy. So you have to also do that. Other, the importance of wholesome entertainment. I'm sure you've all heard of Kahoot, no? When I learned about it, I found it
During the pandemic lang.
Yeah. No, but we learned this from a friend. And I noticed all the kids drop what they're doing. Maybe the older ones not right away, but I see them being very competitive. The problem is when we run out of, because our second kid, Cisco, likes to do the questions, no? But there are a lot of set up
quizzes
already, here. Yeah. No, the problem is when they start choosing the topics that they're good at. So, so sometimes it becomes an unfair advantage for some. But it's something very fun. We put up the projector so everyone can see it, and they all have their own gadgets so they can answer. In fact, sometimes we involve my siblings or the kids of my siblings. So it's fun. So we can do it online. So this is something that's nice to do. And then, of course, here, we put Netflix here. So you have to be aware of that they're watching. No? Might not be easy nowadays, no? But if you can make them aware of some trash that they can watch. No, mom, dad, it's okay. But I keep telling my boys, no, some things that you might see, might not bother you now, or you think it's nothing. But sometimes that's like very sticky stuff or glue in your imagination that will bother you for a while. No? So I keep telling them, those are things that also bothered me. You don't pretend that you, I'm speaking for myself, not for the other fathers here, but those are things that can or could have bothered you, but you have to continuously fight it. And I keep telling them it's better if you don't get exposed to it, because it's harder if you start it and then you keep thinking about it, especially young boys, with their raging hormones. So these are things that we try to talk about with them, what movies to watch, and then I try to ask them, what are you watching now? Oh, I heard from my eldest this Squid Games. We didn't watch it, but I don't think it's something appropriate though for them. But we keep telling, what did you see? It's kind of violent, Dad. Oh, is it still something like? It's kind of scary. You can just watch something else, maybe, or we can watch something together. So those are little things. It's scary because when they say no, I don't want to watch with you. So I don't want to get to that point. They say I'll watch it by myself. So you try to at a young age that they know that they can do things with you. All right, for the next one, the sacraments, which is as Lee mentioned, as part of being Catholic, it's not as a religious graduation. So these are things that I think we're a little more freer now. No, we're freer now. We were talking about this a while ago that I think tomorrow they're opening up some cinemas, or which is scary, and gyms. No? Yeah. So right now, I think
Churches have opened.
we bring our 4 kids to the first 4 to Sunday mass. Of course, there's still social distancing there. And we don't force them. In fact, it was our daughter and our second son first who said that they wanted to go.
Go back.
And yeah, because they only go. It was only me going and Lee going to mass. And it was nice to hear from them that they wanted to go to the real mass instead of the online mass.
Mhm.
And they do, and take advantage of priests hearing confessions too. We try to encourage that. No, we try to also. Well, Lee has been able to not because during our younger days sometimes you don't want to go to confession before mass or your parents are there baka kaya isipin ng mommy ko or daddy ko or what. So but now we encourage them, if there's something that you think you did, you don't have to go, you shouldn't go to communion, don't be, you can go to confession before or after mass. So we try to encourage them. If there is a need, then we try to leave earlier for mass so that they can do that. But we don't push it on them or make them feel that or look at them in a different way because they didn't go to communion or what. So again, there are a lot of right now, especially I'm very thankful that they're opening up the churches, and then we can receive the sacraments more often and more freely. Okay, for the next, our last one is, I think I mentioned this a while ago, the example. So this is very important because you can't just keep preaching, no? So they will they will always use you, no? In fact, I don't know how early that was, a few years back or hindi naman siguro months back, but the idea of having no gadgets on the table. No? So that was also a bad habit of mine. No? That I would bring it and I would come up with excuses. No, I'm just playing a song kay Alexa. No? But sometimes you end up staying with it because you see a text, you see a message from a colleague or your staff. No? Sometimes you get into it. But I think if you're gonna set that rule, it also has to apply to you. No? So you be good role models. And Lee mentioned, if they see you praying, they see you going to mass, you're not naman forcing them, but you're showing them things that will lead you to where you're supposed to be, back to your origin, which is heaven. So doing these things, not just saying that you should pray, they should see you doing this. They in fact, when I guess they're more used to seeing Lee praying, then sometimes they go to me, what are you doing that? Are you playing? Oh no, sabi ko, I'm listening to this 10 minutes with Jesus. No? So I was telling the bigger kids that, well, maybe you can try to listen. It's very nice, very light. I don't know if I've succeeded in that, but they keep seeing me listening to that. It helps me a lot because it talks about the gospel for today or the saint that the feast of the saint today. So it helps me get prepared for mass. So maybe thoughts can also help you. Even if you're not going to daily mass, it can help you with the things that you do in school or some good habits that you can learn from the saints that they're discussing.
So, apologizing also, right?
Oh, yeah. So
this is a favorite example of setting a good example.
So we try, if we make a mistake at home, even if we're parents. Personally, I apologize on the dinner table to tell them I'm sorry about what happened a while ago. If I raised my voice and if I accused you wrongly, because maybe dad was a little stressed with something, but not an excuse. I plan to do better and I'll do better. And I hope I will not offend you in that way again. So we notice also when we do that, they're also not afraid to apologize because they know that dad can, mom can. So that's something that I think we always share it with other people. No?
Not just because we're parents that we're authority that we can't say sorry, but it's always very humbling, right? Sometimes you just have to really eat your pride, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. Then you apologize, and it harmonizes the relationship better.
One last example, but as I saw the church before, I think this is pre-pandemic when all of us would go to mass. sometimes may play off game, no, and then so I touch my phone to check on the score, no. So, but I saw my two older sons doing it too, no. So and again, when Lee reprimanded them, he said, "I saw Dad doing it." So again, I was setting a bad example, no. So anyway, I realized that I just checked the score after the game, the math na lang. So again, you have to catch yourself, or you're a couple, so you have to help yourself correct those things. And I'm glad she did privately.
I slapped him. No, just kidding. All right. So that's practice, right? So again, it's sorry, before I move into that. So practice, let's go back to the previous slide. Okay, so how to keep them Catholic? So pray with them and for them. R is read age-appropriate good literature, good materials. A is authoritative parenting, setting clear expectations and rules, but with warmth, affection, and support. C is Catholic lens, so looking through things with a supernatural outlook. C is talk to them, make them freely express their own ideas, but without making religion relative. I is instill virtues, the importance of wholesome entertainment. S is for sacraments as part of being a Catholic, and not just some sort of religious graduation that they have to go through to please mom or to please dad or to get into the next, level or to a foggy point, right? And E, of course, example. I think this is very important in practicing what you preach or in walking the talk, because as good role models, they have to see you practice and live your faith and be happy in it. And you don't pray frowning, or you don't pray, with a long face, but you pray or you do these activities, or you attend these things, or you give, let's say, for example, giving talks or meeting up with friends, but always in a happy way and always imparting something good to the people. All right. So I think this is our last slide. No, last two slides is another way. Okay, also a very concrete and practical way to keep them Catholic is to make them attend online webinars or conferences. So I'm inviting all of you, parents here, families, and even your children to the Jesus-Centered Life International Conference. So sorry, it's a little bit of plugging of our conferences coming December 8 to 12. It's absolutely free. All the talks will be online and you don't have to pay for anything. You just have to register. This is the link. So this one, we will have talks for students, for parents, for educators, for young professionals. So it's really a broad range of audience of Catholics. And it's really helping each one live a life centered in Jesus. And that's how we keep ourselves Catholic, and how we are focused or centered in living a Christian life by putting Christ right at the center. So that's one. Another another tip or another suggestion is enroll in EduChild courses. Okay, so EduChild stands for Education for the Upbringing of Children. That's why EduChild. This was, I think, organized or formed back in the 70s, like a group of couples who really wanted to teach other parents to become better parents. So our tagline is loving couples, great parents, happy families. So they have a lot of courses. These are just some of them. There's Beyond I Do for married couples, family visioning, married love course, which Edmond and I are taking part of for the past week. First steps. These are is the parenting course. I think from parents who have children 0 to 3 years old. First letters, parenting teams, even NPEP. This one is exclusive to para schools. LEAP, Life Endeavor and Project. This one is for young professionals single professionals who want to find direction in their life. There's Pinoy EduChild, there's Gabay Pamilya, and there's many more. So this is one complete way also of helping yourself continuously be faithfully Catholic and being better parents to your children, as well as having the fruits of that. Edmond and I have been attending EduChild since our second child, right? Since Cisco, 2005, and now we have 7. So, but yeah, it's really very helpful, and you get to meet other parents who have the same values as you. And isn't that the wonderful thing about living the Catholic faith? If you're surrounded by people who share the same values, share the same beliefs as you, and it's good that you get to express yourself. Everyone has problems, everyone has issues at home, challenges, trials. But if you are able to have these lessons or modules, and these are case studies, you don't really share your personal stories although some do, but we always use our neighbor, things like this and like that. But it's really a good program for you to learn on how to be better parents and to be a better couple. And then, okay, some references. So we did our own research. If you want to learn more about how to keep your kids Catholic, some of you have heard of Word on Fire show of Bishop Robert Barron. So he's on YouTube. I think he's also on podcast. And then one of the books that he mentioned there, his host, was this book, Handing Down the Faith by Christian Smith. How parents pass their religion onto the next generation. I think it's available on Amazon. I'm not endorsing it, but it's one of the books that was mentioned in the show. So what is the benefit of being faithfully Catholic? Heaven. You know, all of us want our children, want our whole family to be in heaven. So I think that is the ultimate end that we all want, where all of us want to be. So with that, we end. Thank you very much. So this is our brood. We call ourselves the Tobias brood. So this is number 1. Rafa, Cisco, Cheska, our first daughter, Joaquin. But this was taken about 2 years ago. Yeah, they're much bigger and taller now. This is Kayo. He was the one who said the prayer earlier, the Jesus prayer. He's already 9 now. This is Seb, and this is Sasha, our youngest. So we have a basketball team with their coach, and we have 2 cheerleaders with a stage mom. So thank you very much for having us, and we're now open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmond and Leigh. We'll wait for some questions from the participants. Okay, we have one here. How do you spend me time?
My me time is my prayer time. I consider that as my me time. Also, sometimes when I want to watch something on Netflix, so I stay in the room and then I watch either, well, sometimes it's not really me. Sometimes I watch it with them, or sometimes I'm with Edmond. And I guess it's us time. We do have our periodic dates, right? And since we couldn't go out, there was a time that we ordered from Bar Pinchos some tapas, and then we just had set up a table downstairs. The kids knew it was our post-anniversary date, and then set up some candles, a bottle of wine, and some tapas. So that's how we keep ourselves sane.
I guess,
but really more prayer.
Yeah, prayer, of course. That you 10 minutes with Jesus, no. But the other thing is, for me, my me time is with her. So when we walk or /run, well,
around the village lang naman.
I take a different road because she doesn't want to run all the time, so I have to separate. No? But that's the time that maybe the 25-30 minutes we're together. For me, that's my me time. That's my recharge then, because of course we have everyone during the day, so that's the only time that I get to talk to her after our mass, after work, after the part homeschooling. No? So I look forward to that at around 6 o'clock. So that's our me time. But lately it's been raining, so we haven't been able to. But that's something, that's me, more of us, the us time. That's my recharge time.
Thank you for that question.
This last year.
Thank you, Rebecca, with that question. So I also have a question. How do we keep the older children to be faithful Catholics? Like, a lot of our children end up, we send them abroad for college and they're away from their families already. So a lot of parents fear that they're not able to practice their faith anymore. How might you suggest that for them to keep close to the Catholic faith?
All right. So, well, we don't have kids yet that we will send off to college abroad. I mean, our eldest. But I think an idea that came to me is try to find out. For example, they're going to New York or to California. Try to find out if there are people who have the same beliefs as you, who has the same values as you have in your family. And then if you are close and you can connect with them through email or Facebook, then they can meet up if they have children also of the same age, or even if not exactly the same age, but they can be friends. That's one. Another one that I would recommend is find out if there's a church nearby, because if you instill the faith in your children, I mean, they've lived it, they breathe it along, within so many years of living by your side in your house, then if you facilitate it for them, there's a church nearby, or here's the address, and then there's a priest there, you find out, I don't know, the number, and then the schedule of masses, even the confession. So you can prepare it for your child when they're abroad. And also, if I may recommend, there are some centers that they can go to activities, let's say get-togethers, or even friends, people whom they can be friends with. Or even, for example, if they're in a university, if there are people that you know or teachers whom you can recommend to your child who can deal or talk to your child like a mentor, that would also help. What about you?
Oh, I think you pretty much covered it. But again, it's you don't force it down their throats. No, it's something that should be it should have been already in their system. But again, there's the usual reminders, but not pictured as or forced as or pangungulit. No, and sometimes they respond in a different way if they're forced. I noticed that in some of them. So I know when to lay off them. But again, we don't have kids there abroad, but we know of some friends. But we've heard of some doing that.
Yes.
And regular FaceTiming with the family. I see them. Some people from the village also who do that. They brought their kid to NYU. No? So they do. I see them regularly FaceTiming each other. Not just talking. I see them playing around. They have some costumes. But anyway, it's nice
so
to see.
Regularly check on them also, and then ask them lang, not really nagging, but more of like, how was your day? Where did you go? What did you do? More of like how you are here as a mom or how you are here as a parent, and then just living that, even if it's long distance, and then checking also on who they met with, what are your activities. It's not prying into their lives, but it's more of because you care. As authoritative parenting or deliberate parenting is really asking how they are with a lot of affection, with a lot of care, and support and guidance.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question from Clarice. How do you encourage sibling love and cooperation instead of jealousy?
Hey, Cla.
Hello, Cla. Okay, thanks for that question. How do you encourage sibling love? Okay, since we're a big family, the older kids usually have it's like a buddy system. So the older kids usually are watching over the younger kids. At first, it seemed to them like it was a chore, like it was something that they have, a duty that they have to do. But eventually, for example, Rafa would check on Seb's homework, to do asynchronous activities from online classes. At first, he would it's like a burden to him. But afterwards, I see when he's teaching him and he's guiding him. And then sometimes when we're in the sala and we're relaxing, he cuddles him, he tickles him, he makes lambing with him, which I don't see him doing with the other kids because he's not really teaching. Of course, with the baby, with Sasha, everyone loves her. Everyone pinches her and makes her korot and hugs her. But I noticed that there's a special bond between Rafa and Seb, number 1 and number 6, because he's the one watching over him. And then also with Cheska and with Sasha, since they have shifts, okay, since we didn't have a yaya for the time for the youngest, so they have 9 to 12 is Cisco, 12 to 2 is Joaquin, 2 to 5 is Cheska, and 5 to 8 is Rafa, and then basta they have shifts. So I also noticed that with Cheska and with Sasha, since they have that time together, she puts her to sleep, and then I noticed it. Then they also fool around, play around. They're crazy together. So that's, I think, how it comes out naturally because they spend time together. Then they form that sibling love. Competitiveness, I think, competitive in a good way. Like the 2 older ones, kasi, since they have had good study habits over the years, and the younger ones see that. So it's really more of not comparing, like, or look at your kuya, galing-galing, oh, how come you can't get these good grades? Although sometimes it's a temptation to say that. I'm guilty. But it's more of like, why don't you try to, form also good habits so that you can also get better grades and that you can learn more. It's not really more of, not really more of being honor students. Before, kasi we were so grade conscious. I have to admit, like, we want Rafa and Cisco always from second honor, okay, first honor, okay, kaya mo yan, really pushing them. But eventually we were thinking, kawawa naman, sobrang na-pressure. I mean, as long as they do their best and they're happy in doing it, they're diligent, I see them studying, then they're fine. So competitive in a good way. And we noticed, like with Cheska, she has improved also in her studies.
A lot.
And again, it's also by talking to them about it and not, guilty about comparing, but it's not healthy. So it's really more of trying to see and trying to get their good points. So if they did something well, let's say, for example, Cheska is very compassionate. She's very caring when, for example, Edmond's sick, or for example, I'm out on my retreat. And then she has to watch over Edmond, make sure that, he takes his medicine. He doesn't eat taba because he loves taba. And she's the one watching over
not anymore.
him. Not anymore. Okay. So you try to also see the good in them. And when you see them, when they notice that you appreciate the good traits that they have, then it comes out also naturally.
I think also the competitiveness came more when they were younger, especially the first two, because especially when they would play games, the elder one was better in basketball, and I would see the second one struggling with it. And when they play, the other one would rough up, the second one would rough up the elder one. But as they grew together, the good thing about is we have a big family. They don't have their own rooms, so they develop that friendship and bond that I see them protecting, or making sure that if this guy got something, the other guy should get something too. So it develops, and they also know that as parents, we try to give them the equal or the equitable treatment. Because although she was accused of favoring the older one because of her passwords and all, no, but
so now they know my password.
Yeah, but it's not anymore there, right? But you have to make sure that you go back to that of spending time with them and explaining if there's something that you think that's bothersome about their behavior, that you get to talk to them right away about it. There may be some that might not be open right away, but you have to just make them understand, because in the future, when you get to college, this type of habit will not be good for you. Or when you start working, maybe relying too much on a group member in class who's very studious or hardworking, you don't do your part in the office. That will not be, that will be recognized, and you will not progress. So we just explain why these habits have to be corrected, and then catch them and see how they can understand it beyond just punishing them or disciplining them, because these are habits that will stay with you if you don't correct them, or these are habits that the corrected habits will help you progress, be a better child of God.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Teacher Dati, one of our CCD teachers. How do you prevent one's kids from joining Christian groups, like, for example, CCF? A lot of Catholics have moved to other Christian groups.
Okay. It's a pretty tough question. Hindi pa naman nangyayari, but it happens. Yeah. I remember just to share, I come from a very Catholic family, but there was a time when my dad was lured into these born again Christian groups. And then, of course, all of us were shocked because it was our neighbor who was asking my dad to attend these worship, praise the Lord, and all of that. But he was, he was a very good and faithful Catholic. But then my mom was just very constant. She would pray for him. She would offer sacrifices for him. And of course, she would talk to him, but not in a confrontational way. So with our kids, I think they have to see the beauty of the Catholic faith. Now, it's not just a set of prayers, a set of rules, a set of 10 commandments that they have to follow, but they have to see that when we live our faith, we are happy living our faith. And to be concrete about it is to tell them concretely also that yes, it may be fun, it may be good, or it may feel like you're on a high if you attend of these feasts. I mean, I have nothing against them. Of course, we do respect all the kinds of religions, but being Catholics, we know that the Catholic faith is the one true religion, one true faith, instituted by Christ and passed on to us. But we have to respect them. So we can tell our kids now, you can have friends who may be of a different religion, and you have to respect them, but do not follow or do what they do, because we have our own faith, and our faith is beautiful. Then you tell them, we grew up in this, we prayed because we love God. I mean, in a very natural, depends on what age they are. So for example, if they're teens already, may just tell them, the things that we are doing here at home are not superficial, and it's of a higher good, because eventually we want you guys to go to heaven. Not that these religious groups will not, lead them to heaven. Of course, there's still, not naman all the Catholics go to heaven, right? There are still non-Catholics or even non-Christians through baptism by desire who enter heaven because of, they lived a righteous and a morally upright life. But it's more of like, we know that this is the one true faith, the one true religion, and you tell them the beauty of our religion, that, there are the sacraments and the prayers and the communion of saints and so many other things about the faith that we didn't anywhere discuss here because it's going to sound like it's a theology class. But make them appreciate that. And if you explain it to them, then and then with a lot of prayers, of course. You ask for the intercessors. Me, my secret is I pray to the guardian angel of each of my children if I need something from them, or even if I need something from him. If I want him to wake up early for mass, I talk to the guardian angel to make him kurot and to wake him up, and it works, diba? So use your intercessor, the angels in heaven, the patron saint of your child if he has one. So each of my children have patron saints, like Saint Raphael, Saint Gabriel, Our Lady, Saint Joseph. So they're all names of saints. And then you talk to them, and you also have, again, the example. They have to see you happy as a Catholic. Edmond complains sometimes about this. I came from mass, and pagdating sa bahay, ang sungit-sungit ko na. So he has to correct me. He said, galing ka lang sa misa, ang sungit mo na kagad. So I have to also catch myself when I do that, because I came from mass, I received the grace, I received our Lord, and then here I am being masungit to the helper or to my children. So we catch each other. We tell each other, we're like correcting each other when doing this, I'm doing that. So and the children have to see that you're very human too. It's not like you're on a pedestal like a saint, because yes, of course they have to see you as role models, but they also have to see your faults and that you're struggling, just like so many other people. So I hope we answered your question. Oh, you always pray to the guardian angels by children. Yes, that's very effective. Yeah. You want to add something?
I just wanted to say I'm mostly the one being corrected. So.
No. That's two ways.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Edmond and Leigh. Thank you.
Thank you.
The acronym was very helpful. Practice. It's something we can easily remember. So pray for your children. Pray for and with your children.
With them,
yes.
Right.
Read appropriate literature, age-appropriate literature. Authoritative parenting.
Right.
C for what's C
Catholic
again?
lens.
Catholic lens. Everything Catholic lens. T is for
Talk to them.
Talk to them.
Right.
Yeah, talk to them. I is for
Instill virtues.
instill virtues. And S is for sacraments, the channels of grace. Yeah. And
Right.
E is for
Example.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much. I hope we all learned a lot this evening and bring it home to our families. Have a good evening, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you
you
very
very
much.
much.
It was so good. Thank you so much. God bless you.